massive people pleaser, always have been, and it's not something I'm ashamed of or shy away from. It's served me very well in life.
This week we're chatting to business co-pilot and one of life's fabulous humans, Ellcie Moore. Find out this week why people-pleasing as a trait does not need to be negative. Before we get cracking, thank you very much for being here today and for listening. Do be sure to get involved in the conversation, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you on the other end. Ellcie, thank you very much for joining us here on the Digital Circus Life. It's lovely to have you here. And with every single episode, we start with one very important question, and that is, what is it that you're trying to achieve right now?
Life or business or both?
Both.
Wherever.
Both. I'm trying to achieve keeping life as simple as possible, yet as fun as possible, for as many people as possible.
I like that as an answer.
I know. If mine wasn't what mine is, that would probably be mine. Simple, fun, and people.
All right.
Simple is a really important... Yeah. Thanks.
Now, I'll make sure you get credit. If I ever share it on public, I'll always make sure credit to Ellcie Moore.
But the simplicity thing is a huge thing, especially in 2024, I think. I think especially last year, everything seemed a little bit crowded, a little bit full on for a lot of people, and simple should not be shied away from. Do you agree?
Yeah, life's chaos is just normal day is a chaotic day. So if you can just make something simple, be it work, life, school run, whatever it is, why would you not do it?
Absolutely.
That is true, because there is like, I mean, we just said noise, didn't we? Funnily enough, I put a post out on social media today about it's all noise, but there is just so much throughout the day. You know, my mum, bless her, in her 70s, is constantly going, you guys are so busy. You make life so difficult for yourself. And I sit there going, I'm not quite sure how to, other than kind of going, kids, we're not doing anything other than sitting on the sofa. I'm not quite sure how to simplify, because there's still so much that needs to be done.
There is, but I think it's making choices, isn't it? What needs to be done, or what do you want to try and cram in all of the time?
So how does that work with the business for you then? Because in the business, there is a definite thought process of the more you do, the more happens, the more you get, and more. So how do you try and simplify it around the kind of life of a business owner of more?
I think a lot of that is cheating and using technology where you can. Like if it can be automated and done for you by something, let it. There's nothing wrong with that. But where the human touch is needed, then let a human do it. Use the tools around you. But also it's constantly sort of sanity checking why you're doing something, and especially in the lovely, boring, sexy world of systems and processes, don't do something for the sake of having a process. Check why you're doing it, because you may not need it. If you're doing it to future-proof, that's one thing, but keep it simple. Do you need it? Does it serve a purpose? Great, go ahead with it as best you can. If you don't need it, don't do it. That's fine.
And that applies to life as well, completely, doesn't it?
Yeah. The two are entwined.
So the two are entwined. So in terms of systems and processes, that's a very specific thing that you work in. Have you always gone in your life, I'm going to work in systems and processes when I get old?
Thankfully, no. I don't think there's a defining moment where I can go, oh, I like systems and processes, other than the point where I probably realise that they make life a bit easier, and that point you kind of then embrace it and see the value. No, definitely not. I think when I was growing up, I wanted to be a ski instructor. Nothing to do with systems and processes.
Right, so we'll come back to the ski instructor part in a moment, but right, so it's like us. I mean, this is your podcast episode, but we're crossing into kind of a world where we're a parallel with us here. Like, we don't wake up going, I want to be online visibility specialist. We wake up going, we want to have fun, we want to work with people, we want to help them achieve people. And yours is help people achieve stuff, what they're trying to achieve. And yours, you want it to be simple, you want it to be fun, you want to work with people. And how you do that is the systems and the processes part. So then I guess my question is, how did you get into systems and processes? And then we're going to come back to skiing in a moment.
Completely accidentally. I'm too nosy for my own good. I've always, I think I kind of started off working in customer service and went into roles at A level. But because I think you can give a better level of service when you understand everything going on behind the scenes operationally, I would constantly dig into why that was happening and then be like, but this doesn't seem very logical that we go all around here. Why don't we just go from here to here? And then we'd start kind of suggesting things, and then the role would just grow to something that, we never knew was really needed. So yeah, I'm nosy and I like fixing stuff that we didn't realise was broken.
I think that's a fab place to be. Change and curiosity are good things when done right, aren't they? So, and because there's that other thing when you're employed, there's always so much noise from the kind of anti-tribe who go, why are we doing this? This should be simpler. And they just don't always, oh God, you've got to be careful nowadays. They don't always understand the bigger picture. So the fact that you were willing to go and find the bigger picture before kind of making those, suggestions makes but what was it just the curiosity element that made you go and find out what the big picture was?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're better if you understand. It's like humans as well. Kind of if you walk around not assuming things about people, and you actually give them space to talk to you and understand what's going on behind the scenes, you understand why they're grumpy, why they're happy, what's going on in their world. And it is exactly the same through business as well. If you understand the whys behind the scenes, you make better choices. You're more mindful about everything that you do. I don't think they need to be separate, but it kind of going to the people don't always like change and systems and things being tweaked. I think that's because sometimes they've experienced it being overcomplicated and change for the sake of change. And I think if you genuinely have done the right thing, kind of drilling into what's needed, you can then get everyone on board because they can see the benefits of it for them.
Yeah. Which comes down to communication, really, doesn't it? It's like so many times the communication isn't in place to make that. So this kind of desire, curiosity to find out more, has that been there forever? Were you like that as a child?
I don't know. Probably.
Come on, dig deep into your
Yeah, Ellcie, we need to know.
10-year-old, come on.
10-year-old.
Well, I'm curious
because I like quite a lot, to be fair.
Well, that's what I think. I think more of. So I'm reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's new book at the moment. I can't think what seven
rules to live by or something.
7 rules, 7 useful things. I think it's 7 rules to live by. And he was talking about your vision for your life, and he talked about if you're not sure where to start, what did you want when you were a kid? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What did I want to do when I was a kid?
How would you remember? You don't remember any of your childhood.
Well, no, because in my podcast episode, you stated that I keep remembering these very specific things. So clearly I do remember things from my childhood. Anyway, I was struggling to remember what I wanted from my childhood, what I wanted to be. So as always with us, like we don't wish to truly be online visibility specialists, but we explain why we do it. And I think that's the kind of stuff I remember as a child. I was curious. I did want to know how things worked. I was okay with things changing, and I still love change to this day. I see change as a good thing. And I wonder if it's some of those kind of character traits and beliefs and values, etc. I always get lost in all of that stuff. That extrapolates up to where we are now, and then in a more practical world environment. So if you were always asking why as a child and your parents never told you to stop asking why, then that's probably why it's still there, because it wasn't suppressed. So
I think a lot of it is like a massive people pleaser, always have been, and it's not something I'm ashamed of or shy away from. It's served me very well in life. But I think that kind of, because I want everyone to be happy all the time, I'm constantly looking at ways to make their life easier. And that then in a work environment led to going, okay, well, if we can get this automated, or if we can skip this step, or if I can do it for them, that it then just naturally unraveled that way.
I think people pleasing is not a negative trait. I think it too often it's seen to be more of stop being such a people pleaser. But actually, for many of us, I have a similar character to me as well. That element of service, isn't it? And you want to serve, you want to help, you want to be helpful, you want to be useful, and that is something to be admired, not as a negative thing. So I want to come back then, not to get into 10-year-old Ellcie, because we don't need to go into that.
Well, no, we hold on. This podcast is about life, and every episode we go back to the beginning.
Of course,
right?
but
so what's the difference?
Let's go back to 8.
Yeah.
But I think
all right, 12-year-old, not 10-year-old Ellcie. I'm being nudged to change topic. I don't think I've done anything wrong. We have secret under-camera codes, and one was used on me.
I have had the good fortune of listening to you on a podcast before where you talked about a life where you were in paintballing. And I need to kind of understand how that became a thing and how that becomes a career, because that sounds bloody awesome.
Yeah, it's
How's
all my
paintballing a
parents' fault.
career? Tell me.
My parents, God, when was it? Probably early 90s. My parents used to work together managing nightclubs in Portsmouth, Southampton, Eastleigh, kind of around that area. And my dad got made redundant. And he had a hobby at the time, and it had only just started around then with old Stepmaster guns of paintballing. So he would go down to the local site, which was thankfully sort of 15 minutes from home, and he'd just go down there whenever he had a free weekend. I think it may have been coincidental. I don't know if it was if my dad instigated the conversation. They were looking to sell the site at the time my dad had been let go, and so just randomly, parents just bought a paintball site. And then, me and my sister kind of raised in the woods like feral children every weekend.
This is a common thing that's come through, and it comes down to this whole parents and learnt behaviours and going back to what Anna said, like, we have to go back to.
Are you delving into child psyche?
And you think about your childhood and then actually bring it back to what you have learned. What you have learned is that entrepreneurial spirit, isn't it? Or you've had that from a young age, and you've been brought up with that as well.
Yes.
So how long did you work in the family business for?
Well, again, I don't know if I should say this on a video that's going to go out on the internet, but we used to be taken out of school. If they had a game on midweek, me and my sister would be taken out of school to go down and help on site. We were both young, but useful. But it was great. I was learning multiplication and maths because everything was cash. There was no tills, no calculators down on the site. So great life skills. But
right, basically we had a tech issue. Ellcie disappeared. We've cut that bit out. We're now carrying on. Ellcie, you were telling us about being taken out of school back in the day, which I then have a question for in a moment. So you were talking about being taken out of school, life skills, cash is king, and everything else.
Yeah. So it was probably, I think the early 90s they did that. So probably around 12 years that we would be down on site every weekend helping mum and dad out, do stuff down there. Whilst I then left school, and I think having seen my parents always run their own businesses, my mum went through education, went to university, it just wasn't for me. I knew I just wanted to carry on working. I'd had a taste of earning my own money and just getting in and doing stuff rather than being educated. So I just went into work from there. And I went into working in a hotel, customer service bit, and then would get dug into how the systems worked in the hotel and why, and all of that really boring stuff that to me is like really interesting and I love getting stuck into.
I know. So because I'm slightly anti-education system, just wondered, do you think at this stage in your life being pulled out of school has had any detrimental effect on your life?
No, I mean, let's put it in perspective. It was like occasional pulling out of school, not months on end of
every
not
day,
going
Ellcie, every day.
They slaved away. But no, honestly, I learnt my math skills were learnt from working down on the site with cash and needing to kind of go, oh, there's a 10% discount on that, quick, do it in your brain. That's how I learn. I learn through doing, not by being told how something is done. So for me, I probably learned more there than I would have done sat in the classroom.
So, what's exciting is by kind of chance of being born to your parents, you've had the perfect, in inverted commas, perfect, obviously, right, upbringing for you, because you are more of a hands-on doer and you ended up doing hands-on doing rather than kind of learning by repetition in school, which is perfect for some people. I find that quite interesting, actually, isn't it?
Yeah. So my next question for you, Ellcie, comes back to the future, back to the present day.
All right, we're not doing time travel again. Yeah.
God, no. We had this conversation with David Hatch a few weeks ago, and time travel just hurts my brain. And I'm not going to do another episode on that because I just can't.
No, I can't get my head
around it. Anyhow, so fast forward to present day, and Ellcie Moore, you're a co-pilot, and you're helping people in their businesses. You have been employed for a large proportion of your life. What made you make the shift to being self-employed?
Initially, I think I could have been a hippie. I think I was born in the wrong era. I have always loved every job that I've done. They've been slightly different always and different groups of people, but I've loved them. And I never wanted to be that person in the business environment, in the office, in pub, whatever it might be you're doing, that brought everyone else down because you didn't love it anymore. I've always been the person that wanted to lift everyone up. And I just stopped loving it. I was just falling out of love with the job that I had. And I couldn't find the next perfect job. It was during lockdown, so everyone was kind of all over the place. So I just handed my notice in, kind of, like life is short. Do things that make you happy, take a risk, see where it goes. And it paid off. It got a little bit hairy, a little bit worrying at a time, but then a friend of mine who ran a charity hates doing admin, like loved the hands-on support of all of the people using the service, but hated doing anything, and legally she has to do it. So she just gave it to me just to keep me out of trouble effectively, and then said, you realise this is something people actually get paid for. You could go out and do this for other businesses and make a living from it. And yeah, just kind of stumbled into being a virtual assistant, and happy days.
So then if we go back and you had this kind of growing up in the forest as a feral child, learning about cash and shooting people.
Skipping through.
Yeah, I've got Stig of the Dump kind of in a nice way.
Sure, yeah, there's a nice version of that.
Whatever. Yeah, and then wanting to be a ski instructor, how have you ended up in this more kind of systems process? And you've just said you could be a hippie. So we've got forest feral ski instructor hippie who's now on systems and processes. Now, I'm never going to say it's wrong, but let's be honest. If you're going back to your childhood and your vision, as Arnie wants us to do, and you've got these things, this is very, even if I understand why you're doing it, because of simplicity, fun and people, they're still very, very different. And how comes that happened then?
I think it's always people still with me. It's how can I make someone's life easier, more fun, whatever it may be. I think skiing used to be my passion. Well, not used to be, I still love it, but as a family we would go 2 or 3 times a year, just disappearing into the mountains. God, I really do sound like I was raised by wolves. Very sorry, I was raised very, very properly in a house with walls and doors and everything. But yeah, we love.
Well, you went skiing 3 times a year. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But yeah, we loved that, and so I think that as a child, it was wanting to do more of that fun thing, and teaching other people to do it is probably the kind of helping support other people through things. And I think that just when I got into paintball and I found a love of playing paintball and being involved with that sport, that it then evolved to wanting to work in paintball. And that then just, kind of grew arms and legs. But I worked for a paintball agency for 10 years. So
yeah. Do you find that you've managed to integrate that more adventurous side of your life from back in the day into your current personal life at all?
Not through me, no. Through my husband and my child, yes. But allowing them the balanced life to be able to go out and do those adventures kind of scratches that itch for me, I think.
What?
I thought you had a question, Alice. I usually talk over him and he punches me, but I don't.
I've never punched you. I've never punched you.
So in terms of, we also know that this year has seen a relaunch of your business, because we had a little bit of a segue back into employment last year.
Yeah.
Do you think this time around you're going to do anything differently to what you were doing before?
Yes, in that I've learnt things. I'm being kinder to myself this time round in terms of sticking to what feels right for me and listening to that, because ultimately that would also be right for future clients as well. But focusing more on where my experience and skill set is with more product-based businesses, and in and around sales support and supply chain. So maybe less on diary management and the more traditional VA roles that I think people associate with the title, but looking more towards maybe a slightly bigger company, sort of 3 to 10 employees already in, and allowing sales teams to be sales teams and allowing operational teams to be operational, and doing that chunk of work in the middle that falls by the wayside or stresses everyone out usually. So
you mentioned being kinder to yourself. How hard on yourself were you the first time round?
I'm not very lovely to myself a lot of the time, and again that's a little bit of a gift on occasion, because it drives me, constantly challenging why we're doing something and could we do it better. I think last time I felt that I needed to say yes to everyone because I wanted to help people. This time round there's a bit more balance of I can help you without it being me that does that work for you. I can connect you with the right person that is able to do that, and still for me to focus on where I really want to take the business.
And do you have an end goal for it?
Well, I think that's really important, because Ellcie is kind of suggesting that there's always more, that like maximise a part of me we talked about. But by the way, I think Ellcie and I are similar, by the way.
I definitely think you're similar.
So I think what's important is, how do you know when you're there? What is enough? And all these other things. Based on Emily, what's the goal, or what's enough, or whatever?
Yeah, and I think this may be something I need longer in being self-motivated, being out of the employed world and doing things for myself. I think I need a little bit longer to look at that. But at this point in time, the goal is to have the balance of life. There's not a cash number for me of where I want to get to. There is a lifestyle, and not missing bedtimes, and being able to go away on holiday and do things like that without feeling guilty for not working and doing things like that. So yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't think in business terms I'm perhaps grown up enough to make that decision.
Not grown up.
Not grown up. But this is really interesting, because over the Christmas period, I was doing a kind of quite a lot of thinking about things. And for the first time as a business owner, I felt we, to be discussed basically by us, right? This is my thought, need a clearly defined goal. And we've been on this podcast discussing, as long as you're going in the right direction, it's okay, and all this other stuff. And I've done a complete U-turn, right? I've done a complete U-turn. I think you have to have a clearly defined goal. It can change at any moment.
Yes.
Right? This is the key part. It can change at any moment. But if you don't have a clearly defined goal, where are you going? Right. And unfortunately, I think if you are beating yourself up for working too hard and by the way, Ellcie, I'm talking about this because I think we are similar, right? Basically, and I've gone through this recently. But with a clearly defined goal, I can then work out what is enough or not enough. Without a defined goal, I can't work out what is enough or not enough, or whether it's whatever, but what it is important, as I say, that goal can change at any point.
And you've split yours into 3 different types of goal this year.
I have, for the first time ever as well. So I've got business goal, personal goal, and family, and they are intertwined. Emily's got a degree in English. I look to her when I'm stumbling on words. They are interlinked, entwined, but I still actually am just trying to work out what the family one is, because at the moment it's still a bit vague. It's more adventures, so I feel I need to kind of elaborate on exactly what that is. But my personal one's clearly defined. The business goal is clearly defined. And what I found fascinating, by the way, this is your episode, not mine. What I found fascinating
asking you questions
is. Well, ask you why. Since having a clearly defined goal, I've managed to put a clearly defined plan in place to achieve them.
Profound, Alan, profound.
Well, I know, but Emily, let's be honest. You and I have said anyone... Yeah, go, Ellcie, your question on your...
With not having a clearly defined goal for the family elements, do you think that will stop you delivering on it? Delivering on anything, progressing or adventures, whatever it may be? Will you not do anything because you don't have that goal?
No, so it's vague. So this comes, actually, Arnie was talking about this as well. He said, if
Thanks, Arnie Schwarzenegger.
Well, no, you know what it is? It's that whole removing it from the subconscious into the conscious, isn't it? So you start thinking about these things, and then you talk to people, you read things, you watch things, you listen, however you consume, and all of a sudden things just evolve in your head. And he was talking about your vision and everything, whatever, right? However he talks about it. And he says it's okay to start broad, and over time you can narrow it down, and so it's okay that for a decade we've had a broad goal, but now's the right time. This is probably the bit more woo-woo of me that I don't always embrace. Now's the time to actually narrow it down to a specific thing. And I think family-wise, it is for the moment a bit more about adventures and happiness and quality time and things like that, and it may become more specific in time, but for the moment that one is slightly broader to be worked on. And to be honest, and I'll shut up in a moment, I'm sorry, when it comes to family thing, I think the specific goals are stupid things like new pillows, like having, like last year I wrote on my goal list for... Well, right, I wrote that down. And what did we get in last year, Emily?
We got new pillows.
We got new pillows. Last year, I wrote down to have a nacho table on my goal list. What did we do last year,
We had a
Emily?
nacho table.
We had a nacho table. So, you know, actually, Ellcie, I have a question for you. Sorry.
He's shushing. Everybody knows the time and date.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It is our podcast at the end of the day. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say things
But
like that.
the family goal does, although it could be as loose as possible, because ultimately it doesn't really matter, because you shouldn't have goals for because it's just you exist with your family, it evolves with your family. But things like having the new pillows, for example, helps you with quality sleep. With quality sleep, you make better decisions. That helps with your business goals. It helps with your personal achievements in terms of Alan is running. So it does all link
How
together.
are our new pillows, Emily?
They're awesome.
They're all right. Yeah. Ellcie, when did you last have new pillows?
Well, you've actually inspired me, because we took one out of the pillowcase when washing the sheets this weekend. It looked like something had gnawed on the corner of it. Clearly it hasn't. I would like to say everything's fine. But
Feral Ellcie with the rats in the house.
10-year-old Elsie's
No, I
out
like
at
that.
night.
Could we just revisit I think you said your father was in the nightclubs around Southampton, Eastleigh and Southern Hampshire. Would that include Martins too in Eastleigh back in the day?
I don't know if it was the Easy. We did Martins in Portsmouth. They managed for a while.
Ooh.
Yes. I think it was
All
Eddie
right.
J's
I
when
just
they
wondered
first went
if-
in.
Oh, I just wondered if I had been into one of his nightclubs in the mid-90s. That was all. So,
Probably. Yeah.
right. Okay. Where are we? Should we build up
Yeah,
towards the
we
end?
absolutely
As
can.
I hijacked the entire interview to talk
You
about
absolutely
my
did, but
thoughts.
I think it's
Ellcie.
okay, and I think so. Ellcie, just kind of thinking about go back to the goals as well for your family. So we know you're building out an awesome business and having that time now to really think about what it is you want. And absolutely agree with you. You don't need to know the answers right now. Spending time in that space and just enjoying the space is really, really important. Do you have a personal goal for the year?
I have a personal number for the year that is achieved without compromising on time with my daughter. So that for this year it is just about stability and having that kind of feeling that, yeah, okay, we've done that tick. I think once I've got that year back under my belt, that it then kind of gives me the confidence to move on to slightly bigger goals, more ambitious things.
I love that. I think it's a brilliant goal.
It's good to get your Shane Ward in place, isn't it?
Oh, for God's sake, Adam.
I mean, you know what I was thinking about that
If
on
you
my morning
sing, that's
run.
my goal, I will punch you on the
That's
table.
my goal. From here on in, known as a Shane Ward.
Ellcie, if you laugh, he gets confidence to do more stupid jokes. So let's not laugh at him.
Well, I was chatting to Trisha Lewis yesterday, and something's called doing a Top Gun. What's doing a Top Gun, Emily?
Don't think, just do.
Right, now we're talking about, have you got your Shane Wards in place? That's my goal. Right, anyway, sorry, I'm up for fun as well, Ellcie. That's what I mean.
Fun's
No
important.
way.
It's
Fun's
so
important.
important. But I think that's underestimated sometimes how much fun should be part of both your business and personal goals as well. Because if you're not having fun, what's the bloody point, is it? So last question for you, Ellcie, as we start to wrap up. It's the same one we ask everyone every single week. And I kind of think I may know the answer already, but I'll ask it anyway. So if you could go back to your younger self, not 10-year-old Ellcie, maybe more feral Ellcie, or whatever Ellcie you want it to be.
I'm forever known as Feral Ellcie. I'm sorry.
I deeply regret my actions.
No, don't.
It's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Or I'm just thinking it's barefoot Ellcie now. What would you say to your younger self if you could put an arm around yourself and have a little word? What would that word be?
I don't know that I would tell her to do anything differently, because you kind of got to do all of that stuff to get here. Sorry, cheesy. I'm sure it's been said millions of times before. But I probably would listen to my own instincts a little bit more, even though people pleasing has served me so wonderfully, beautifully well. Probably just to kind of hone the skill of going, actually, no, I don't think that's right for me, a little bit sooner. But all of the good and the bad, it's all been worth it to get to this bit.
Ellcie, you're only just 40. I think you've got plenty of time.
Whoa! You can't age on this podcast.
Ellcie, yesterday was celebrating a milestone birthday.
No, that is true. I'd totally forgotten. Happy birthday, Ellcie.
Thank you.
But always say in terms of finding it sooner, I think you can give yourself a little bit of a repeat. That you're only 40. There's so much time ahead of you as well to make more mistakes, more choices, more everything, because life is fabulous.
More
fun.
Yeah.
Ellcie, thank you so very much for
Sorry,
being...
I just realised we haven't actually let Ellcie say that much in the last 10 minutes.
Okay.
Ellcie, is there anything you'd like to say before we finish?
I love you. You're fabulous. No, I just
as are you.
Loving having a good old chat and just, yeah.
It's nice to have a chin wag.
Yeah. All good.
Right. Well, Ellcie, thank you very much for being a part of the Digital Circus Life. To everyone listening right now, thank you for being here today. We absolutely love you all. Do make sure that you're subscribed to our channel, and we will see you again next time on the Digital Circus Life. See you later. Bye.